Not seeing a picture. Oh, there it goes. All right, we're going live. We do it live. All right, let's check this out. Okay, good. Good. Starting a little early. And Kite is already in the chat. Hi, Kite. Good to see you. You're first. You're first. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream where we do it live. Joan is in the room. She hadn't been eating all day. I got a little worried about her. And now, of course, that I've started the live stream, she's devouring all her food, I'm happy to say. So I'm just going to leave her alone while she finally eats. I've been giving her food since lunchtime, just piling it up. Because I just assumed she would eat it. And finally, she's eating. Okay. By the way, this video, this is what I did on Saturday. I went to Whitesbog, and this is footage from that. I got interviewed by a nice woman named Yael Arava Shuldman. She is Israeli, so that's an Israeli name, I'll tell you. Kite says, such a diva, isn't she? Yes. Yes, she is. She would not eat. And I was, are you sick? I'm like, because when your dog doesn't eat, that's weird. And finally, I had some blueberries. I fed her some blueberries. She loves those. And she had a few of them and then just stopped eating them about midway through. And I'm like, is this dog sick? Am I taking this dog to the vet? And now she's just gobbling away. Good job, Joan. You had me worried for nothing. But anyhow, this is Whitesbog, New Jersey. It's a historic village where they used to grow cranberries. And they had what are called cranberry bogs. So the initial way to grow cranberries was like you needed about 3 or 4 feet of water. And you'd grow the plants in them. And she put the videos on TikTok, so I think the same one's on TikTok. Here's some of the pictures. God, I look so fat in them. I look enormous. A chin, a double chin thing. Oof. But anyhow, you grow the cranberries and they like grow in the water in like a bog. I don't know. So you put on waders and you go through with like a rake and you scoop them up, kinda, and you pick them. That's how they pick them, like they scoop them up, or the old way they used to pick them, I guess. So the cranberry bogs in Whitesbog are no longer planted because I've been told that the cranberry yields now are so enormous that they just don't need cranberries. And it's not worth growing them unless you're a massive commercial operation. So unfortunately, all the cranberry bogs are empty. Some of them are still filled with water, but that's about it. Kite, I had no idea they required a whole bog. Yeah, apparently. It's neat because they like grow in the water, and they're floating around in it while they're still on the plant. It's weird. But that's that made it easier to harvest, I guess. You could sort of pluck them off and then push, like they'd float on the water and you'd like kind of scoop them along. So there's a whole historic village there, and then this was their Blueberry Fest. Initially, previous year, they had it one day. This year, they had it every weekend for this month. So I got in on the last weekend of it, I think. I don't know. They may still have more weeks of it, but it was pretty good event. The weather was beautiful. Oh my God, the weather was sweet. After 2 weeks of just pure hell, the first week just heat, and then the second week I got rained on. This was like such a nice change, and so yeah. So that was my weekend. It went pretty good. I can't really complain about it. What else? Was there anything else? Nah. Just chilling. I did some events during the week. I did Laurel Springs Night Market, which is very close to where I live, and that was fun. I actually did really well there for only being there like 2 hours. Stormy is here. Hey, Tony. Hey. And then on Thursday I did Greenwich Library, and so that was good as well. A really good turnout actually to the library. I had like 20 people for my talk, which is pretty good for a library in the middle of the week. I sold a few books, not as many as I thought for that many people, but and then next week, Joan's going for a haircut on Tuesday. Yeah, you're going to the. No, she left. Man, she is the worst. You're the worst sidekick ever, Joan. Absolute worst. She must know I'm doing a live stream. She don't want any part of it. Ardent, hell? Let me tell you about hell. 42 of the last 44 days, pea soup fog, says Ardent. I don't know. I think I'd rather have fog than sweltering heat. And I'd rather have fog than rain. Although the fog would also be bad at an event. It's daytime. I guess I could let her bark. Fog would also be bad for an event. For me, with all the books and the comics. It would just be damp. Be like... So wow. Pea soup fog, eh? Well, you're in Newfoundland, right? Isn't that like par for the course? Is that your version of summer? The seas boil and you just get fog. I don't know how fog works, obviously. But that's is it hot? The fog should be like cool, right? Like not temperature wise. Although I guess everything gets wet, which is annoying. I'm not going to be able to take that. I may have to go get her. Ardent, see you say that, but the temps here were in the mid 90s, 97 and 98% humidity. Ooh, that's rough. That's rough when it's foggy, and it's high temperature. Stormy says nasty as buck. Thank you for not cursing in the stream. Try to keep it family friendly, sort of. I wouldn't say family friendly, but I try not to curse anymore. Because, I don't know, just gets out of control. JEC is here. Hi. Welcome. Okay, we're at 7. And before we get started, I think I'm going to go grab Joan. Yeah, I don't think she's going to stay still. Hold on one sec. Come here, Joan. Not having you run amok out there. Here, you sit here. Joan's here, everybody. Yeah. I know. She thinks she's queen of the castle. Ardent, hello, JEC. JEC, it's been a very mild summer here. Lots of rain the last few weeks. Here it just, other than last week, we had a little bit of rain. Here's the rain we're getting. We're getting like Florida rain, and it's that tropical rain, that tropical summer rain, and that's like this. Arden says, "Holy S, Tony got legs." Thank you. So the tropical sort of storm weather is like, hey, it's nice and sunny. Uh-oh, I think it's gonna thunder, and it just pours out of the sky for like 20 minutes, and then if you drive 4 miles in any direction, it's not raining and hasn't rained, and the ground is dry. And then it just stops, and then the heat turns on, and that's why it's so sweltering. Ardent, Florida rain has meth in it. Well, ours, Does not. Has more likely to have blueberries in it, I guess. What? You want to come over here? Okay. You're being very annoying already, Joe. JC, yeah, it was like that here today. Oh. No, today we're done with the rain for a while. I think this whole week's going to be nice. So we're in a nice summer mode here in South Jersey. Everybody's down the shore. That's the one negative for me going out to events. Nobody's there. Everybody's at the beach. So White's Bog was, I mean, the attendance was okay. It was a little lighter than I expected. Joan, you rolled all over the ground with your face in, no, get away from me. Your face was in gross stuff, I'll say, on the ground. No, I'm just going to pat you where your face isn't, because where her face was, it was gross. It was just gross, okay? Everything here is probably gross too. I want to just wash all your stuff. I want to throw you and the entire blanket situation into the washing machine and then throw you in the dryer. Yeah, you're going for a haircut on Tuesday. All right. Enough of this doggy nonsense. Let's get into what we're here for today, the numbers. The box office numbers. Number one is Barbie at 155 million. That number's a little even. Kite, LOL, dogs be like that. Heh, yeah. Yeah, Joan is no exception. Despite her cute little diva demeanor, she's just like a dog. It's like, oh, bird poop. Let me rub all over that. It's so gross. Kite, she'll act all innocent too. Yep. Now, this is the most I've seen out of her all day. Like, all day she's been lying around not eating, worrying me half to death. And now she's like ready to go. Right, Joan? Right? Oh, yeah. Now you're a big ham. Now you're a big ham. Barbie allegedly did 155 million. I think this is still projection, partly at least, because the number's so even. But maybe not. It is doing surprisingly well for an opening. Best ever this summer, I think. Better than Mario, so everybody's like, oh, it's going to do better than Mario. I don't think it's going to do better than Mario, because week 2 is a-coming. Week 2 is a-coming. And according to this, it did 182. Again, a very even number. I'm very suspicious of how even that is. 182 million overseas. So I'm not sure. Not a lot of data yet. It's going to be very interesting to see the real breakdown here. I'm kind of surprised the Chinese allowed it to be distributed. Kite, lots of meme hate watches to say, yeah, it was woke, but suspicious for sure. Yeah, I've seen some of the clips, especially the scene of Barbie confronting the little girl who used to play with her, and she's a total communist. It's just bizarre. I don't know how anybody would sit through that movie, get to that scene, and go, yeah, this was worth my money. I think I'd be pretty upset if I'd brought my daughter to that movie and got hijacked with a political message in the middle of it, and it was a bunch of feminist nonsense. I think I'd be pretty upset. But I also think it's become kind of a tool of the culture war for both sides now. And Hollywood kind of roped it in with Oppenheimer. Oops, went too far. Roped it in with Oppenheimer in a weird way. JC, why wouldn't the Chinese let Barbie play there? Where do you think they make Barbies? Yeah, but the thing is, the Chinese seem to be very wary of this stuff in their own culture, right? So they've edited TikTok, so you You don't get regular TikTok in China. You can't get the ridiculous challenges. You don't get all the gender identity stuff. Most of that stuff's been banned in China. They will not let, and this is the Chinese saying this, YouTube, quote, sissy boys on TV anymore in China. Now, I guess you could argue that Barbie isn't that way, but it does have some of that. I mean, it's in the ballpark of the stuff they're banning, right? So you think they just, we're not going to show that movie, because wouldn't they be wary of their own, I'll say, female population picking up some of that bad habit, if they're wary of the male population picking up some of the bad habits from the other stuff? Seems to me they would be. But then again, the message in Barbie seems to be, don't be a mom, don't have kids. Maybe the communists want that, but they also want people to have kids because they got a population problem. So I don't know. I'm suspicious of the entire thing, because every reviewer that I trust has come out of that movie, oh my God, it's horrific. Like, not that it's bad, it's horrific. I mean, compared to the reviews of Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones sounds, comparatively at least, like something's there. Like Barbie, they're coming out of that going, oh my God. Now, granted, the guys I watch tend to be more like me, but I mean, Critical Drinker, I think, is more balanced, and I don't know. The two kinds of reviews I've seen are, it's a fun movie, and like, I unsubscribed from a guy for giving that review. I just thought, there's no way. This guy is either shilling for this movie or he is a terrible judge of movies, but I didn't see it. So you could say, oh, you can't judge it. But comedian Ryan Long does the most amazing stand-up bit about it. He just clipped himself today doing his bit about Barbie. And it's so brilliant. I love it. Just talking about how it's crap, right? It's junk. So, and I called it back during the teaser. Clint Miller's here. Hello, good people. Tony, hello. Wait a minute, you're saying I'm not good people. JC, no, they want to import people from other countries to have babies instead, even though second-generation immigrants have the same birth rates as white people, though. You mean here in the West. You don't mean in China. In China, they definitely don't want to import people. They want to, that my understanding is, they want to expand the Han Chinese and just take the whole planet. But it'll be interesting to see how Barbie does in certain other countries, particularly Italy. I'm very interested in Italy, being Italian, and because they just banned trans women from competing in their beauty contest. And the Italians, in some respects, don't mess around with certain things. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they react to Barbie. JC, yes, in the West. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that assessment for the West. Which is why they're showing it here. But like in China, I don't understand why they're showing it. Clint Miller. Tony, Amazon didn't have the Pineys book 12 ready to order yet. It didn't? Hold on. I ordered it. There it is. Yeah, it says here on mine. Are you in the United States, Clint, or are you in Canada? Maybe the Canadian one isn't quite ready. Or perhaps you have to refresh the page. I do not know. But it is ready on Amazon.com. So, and as you can see, I just purchased a bunch of these. I wonder if I'm getting the points. I don't think I'm getting Prime points because I'm not paying full price. I'm getting the oh, the whatchamacallit, the author price. So I don't think they're giving me the points. But man, if I got points for buying my own book, oh, I'd have a lot of points. I'd have a lot of effing points. Clint, my old username in Lotus Eaters chat was Ophelia Dixon. Baltimore, neither here, neither there. Oh, weird. I don't know why. I'm in New Jersey and it works. I don't know. I don't know. I guess check back in with it, do a refresh, and eventually, maybe there was a shipping issue. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, let me try this. I could log out. Let's see. I don't want to show anything on the screen. There we go. Sign out. I'll sign out and see if it still comes up. Okay, 12 books. I'm logged out. Yeah, it's coming up for me. Ardent, LOL. I used to go by George on the TLE chat. Clint Miller. I'll refresh and try again. Love that series. Thank you. Thank you so much. But getting back to Barbie, I'm suspicious of this number a little bit. I think it's partly a projection, but probably accurate, because I think the first weekend, the normies are not going to get the message this movie is terrible. Everybody who goes see Barbie on the first weekend was determined to like it, and many of them will. They'll like it regardless of how terrible they actually think it is. Again, I think men and women watch movies differently. I think women sometimes, with certain things, since it's popular, they want to be popular and they're determined to like it, so they will overlook things. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to notice a bad movie, but it may be that they're so determined to like the movie and fit in with the hot thing and be into dressing as Barbie and going to the movies and hanging out with your friends and having a watch party, that they're going to overlook everything and say it's good regardless. Where guys won't really do that with, they wouldn't do it with Barbie. They might do it with something like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or superhero movies, or at least they used to be able to do that. I don't think they do that much anymore, because they've been so let down again and again and again, and everything in Hollywood just seems to be geared towards women. This movie, you didn't even have to do anything. You just had to make it, and I think they've already kind of screwed it up. I don't think the second week of this movie, I think it's going to drop off a cliff. I mean, I think it's going to be like a 75% drop. Something crazy like that. I was a little surprised it did 155 million, but I mean, it's certainly possible because of the name recognition. But once the Barbie stands have seen it, are they going to see it again? I don't think so. Ardent, going lurk mode. The mother-in-law is here. Godspeed, Ardent. Godspeed. So, you know, I can't see this movie having legs. I just can't. Even people who pretend to like the movie are going to be like, I'm not going to sit through that again. JC, it'll do under 50 million week 2. Let's see. That would be a drop of about 66%. Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. Kite, good luck, Ardent. I'm not sure what it's up against next week. Trending movies. I guess Blue Beetle's coming out soon. Haunted Mansion. I mean, those would compete against Barbie in terms of the same sort of audience. Oppenheimer, it's at 80 million. Clint, our prayers are with you, Ardit. Oppenheimer at 80 million and 80 million and a half. And it didn't. Did it get international distribution? Oh, it did. See, this number, very not even, right? Like 93,657,000. Barbie's number was 155 million. It doesn't seem likely. But this is doing pretty good. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's long and it's kind of boring. But at the same time, it is a historical movie. I think a lot of people are going to wait to see it. JC, Blue Beetle, Haunted Mansion are both bombs. Yeah. But they would draw. I mean, if your choice was to go see Blue Beetle, Haunted Mansion, or Barbie for the second time, you're probably going to go with one of the new movies, hoping that it's good if you're in queue to see it. I actually think Blue Beetle would have been watchable up to a point, but they've effed it up with a bunch of woke stupid stuff. So it's gonna be woke, and everybody's gonna say you hate Latino people if you don't see it. Haunted Mansion just looks so unnecessary. If the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy couldn't do well, why do you think a Haunted Mansion without Eddie Murphy will do well? I just don't get it. JC, I hear mostly good things about Oppenheimer. Too long, too dry, but other than that, it's supposed to be really good. Yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan makes good movies. He's a craftsman. So when you have a filmmaker like that, I think even when the movie's not that great or even bad, like at least parts of it are going to be like, wow, that was kind of cool. You don't feel like you got ripped off. I feel like Barbie was a bit of a bait and switch. I mean, not for me, because no way in hell I was going to go see it, and I kind of called it at the trailer analysis, but you know, I could see why people would come out of that movie saying, I feel like I got ripped off here. You know, especially if you took your kid to see Barbie. Oppenheimer, I think, probably delivers what it promises for the most part and more. So the bar is in some ways kind of lower for Oppenheimer in terms of the entertainment. Whereas Barbie, it was kind of high, because when you have a name that big, you're kind of expecting it to be big. But, like, you know, 15 years ago, the Barbie movie would have been hilarious. Let's be honest. If you had done the Barbie movie in 2008, it would have had every major female comedian in it, and it would have been funny. And mostly guy comedians, too. JC, I think Nolan is kind of overrated. He's not bad, but people hype him too much. Well, I think, like, there's not a lot of guys like him right now, right? I mean, Scorsese's getting way up there. You know, the field is a little light in terms of big filmmakers. You got Wes Anderson, I guess you could say. I like the look of Asteroid City. I still want to see it, but I can kind of wait for it. I can kind of wait for Oppenheimer. That's part of the problem. Like, I want to see it. I don't have to see it right away. I'll see it eventually. You know, it's not an I got to see it movie kind of thing. But at least I think there's some quality there. Yeah, I mean, everything in Hollywood really is overhyped, with some exceptions. Sound of Freedom wasn't overhyped, I'll say, because nobody wanted to talk about the damn movie. It's pretty rock solid, and it's down in its third week 26%. That's not bad. Did 20 million. That ain't bad. JC, I was thinking Barbie looked like the 90s version of the Brady Bunch and Beverly Hillbillies type movie. Yeah, I was exactly thinking that too. And it could have been at least that funny. Although those movies I didn't think were that funny, and I used to watch those shows. But like, I kind of could get into those movies a little bit, at least in some surface level, because I used to watch the shows, and they're kind of doing a big budget version of it. But Barbie should have just been funny. That's it. It should have just been a hilarious movie where Barbie just comes to the real world and runs amok, and it's hilarious, and she's hot, and everybody kind of goes, "Oh, that was crazy." You shouldn't be talking about the patriarchy and Barbie. You shouldn't be having political discussions about Barbie. You should be online going, why is everybody commenting on Barbie? It's just a wacky movie. I think the people who are saying like it's just a crazy movie, they're being incredibly disingenuous. There's clearly an agenda in Barbie. Clearly. Watch some of the clips if you haven't seen the movie. There's a very clear agenda in Barbie. The messaging is ridiculously weird. I mean, that opening scene with the baby dolls is just, it's kind of gross. Having young girls smash up their dollies in favor of Barbie, that's not nice. It would have been tolerable if it turned into a 90s whacked out movie about Barbie, and that was just one of the scenes. But the whole movie sounds like that, basically. And the ironic thing I keep hearing is Ken is the only character with agency in the movie. He's the only one with an interesting arc. And but by the end of the movie, it all sort of goes status quo. JC, the Brady Bunch movies were kind of funny. How the Bradys were stuck in the 70s and everyone around them contemporary. Yeah. I'm not sure what you could have done with Barbie in that realm. I think it would have just been cool to have, Barbie run amok. But if you're going to do every Barbie in the world, like Pregnant Barbie was one of the main Barbies. I mean, Pregnant Barbie was like a big deal when it came out. But like having like all these famous celebrity women play Barbies and then throwing in the trans Barbie on top of that, and like none of the men do anything other than exercise. It shows you, I think, how much the makers of Barbie hate men. They just hate men. They're jealous of men. They see themselves, they see women as being portrayed like that. It's really just them putting their, I don't know, their take on the whole gender thing. And it's just not true. And if they keep doing it, what is the end result? What is the end result if you just go feminist, 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 feminist? Men are terrible. They treat us terribly. The patriarchy rules everything. What is the end result of that? Well, first off, at some point, men will just have it. That'll be it. We're just going to throw up our hands and go, okay, since I'm being called a sexist pig anyway, since they keep accusing me of being a part of the patriarchy anyway, what's the point of having these women in the mix? Politically, corporate wise, what would be the point then? You're kind of creating a situation where you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where men will finally just go, okay, we've had enough. Go back into the kitchen. Seriously. I mean, I think that's serious. I think a lot of men are fed up with this. I certainly am. I cannot stand it. This constant harping on, oh, women, 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 women. And meanwhile, like, what's happened to women's sports? I can't go too deep into this for you two, but women's sports going down the tubes. What are women doing to stop it? There's a handful of women finally doing something, but men were complaining about that before. We were warning you before. Meanwhile, my stupid governor put trans women in the women's prison. Terrible. Even the UK finally wised up to that. Anyhow, before we get too far off off of Movie Land. Sound of Freedom, doing well. 124 million, and it hasn't even gotten international distribution. I'm wondering what they're waiting for. Oh wait, here we go. Finally, UK and Mexico. That's it. Well, that's something. Man, August, the end of August, and the end or the beginning of September. So that weekend. Why isn't this movie playing in Canada? Why isn't this movie playing in all over Europe? I guess they got to subtitle it. Maybe they weren't prepared to do that. Angel Studios isn't that big, but now they have the money. They should release it everywhere. I wonder how China will react to this. That's going to be interesting. I wonder if China will give this distribution. I don't think the communists would necessarily be opposed to this movie, right? Clint, order for the Pineys book 12 place. Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Clint. All right. I'm selling books in the live stream. Look at me. Yeah, I can't see why the Chi-Coms would be against a movie that was against trafficking. Again, I'm really worried about the YouTube algorithm flagging me for saying something, but I can't see why they would be against the movie. So, yeah, I guess they would give it distribution if Angel Studios could get it there. I don't see a problem with any country really giving it distribution. In fact, I would think some countries would be anxious to distribute it. Some of the more based countries. Possibly not Colombia, where some of it takes place. I don't know. I don't think it makes Colombia look bad, because there's quite a few Colombian characters that are helping to fight the trafficking. So I think it's probably just a matter of Angel Studios getting the deals done, and maybe that's taking some time. Maybe they didn't expect this movie to do as well as it did. But good on them. They got 2 more countries anyway. Number 4. This kind of sucks for Tom Cruise, I'll say. Mission Impossible dropped from 1 to 4. Brutal, man. Brutal. Sound of Freedom beat it in its 3rd week. Mission Impossible only in its 2nd week. I feel bad, but I mean, Tom Cruise did good this year with Top Gun, so, and it's not like this movie is making no money. I mean, 19.5 million isn't bad. It is this summer. I think this movie does have legs. I think this will play a while in the theaters. This is something people can see and sort of check out and have fun. I think it's too long though, but oh man, look at it overseas. 252 million overseas. 370 million worldwide. That's not bad, although this movie had to cost an arm and a leg, man. Oh, this movie had to cost a boatload of money. They were shooting this all through the pandemic. It had to cost a fortune. An absolute fortune. Probably not Indiana Jones level, but it's got to be up there. And it dropped 64% on its 2nd week. That's not good. That is not good. But it was higher. It was very high that 1st week, so. Whew. And it dropped out of 6 theaters, too. Still in a lot of theaters. I mean, you could keep this thing in the theaters all summer, the rest of the summer. Kite, it's doing well considering. Yeah, I think Oppenheimer. Barbie is definitely headed for 4th place maybe next week. Oppenheimer might have legs, might hang on. Sound of Freedom could start to slip next week, so maybe it would creep back up. I mean, it's pretty close to Sound of Freedom anyway. That's only a little bit of difference. Less than about 500,000 difference. Number 5, Now I'm surprised this movie's doing this well. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny in its fourth week. I'm surprised it's still up here. 6.7 million. I'm surprised, but it's another very summery movie. Even though I don't know. I don't know why anybody would see this. Perhaps the Barbie garbage will supplant the Indiana Jones garbage. There we go. Having trouble clicking. JC, filming Mission Impossible must have been so stressful it actually caused Tom Cruise to start to age and show his age. Yeah, and I think we all heard the meltdown. I don't know if you guys heard the Tom Cruise meltdown. That was, I think, during shooting this movie, right? Yeah, it must have been. It was during the pandemic. So, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, $335 million. Ain't no way that's money. Ain't no way. That's about what it cost to shoot. Oh my God. What a disaster. What a terrible movie for Harrison Ford to go out on. God. I never would have imagined it back in the day. I was such a fan of his. Even when he kind of got out of doing action movies, I thought, well, he's trying to make his money. I'm telling you, Hollywood Homicide, that's the movie. That's the movie that starts his downfall. Number 6, Insidious, The Red Door. Doing pretty well. Almost beat Dial of Destiny. Missed it by $200,000. That ain't bad. 155 million. I don't know. What did this thing cost? I don't know. 40, 50 million maybe? I mean, it's a horror movie. Maybe that's money. Maybe that's money. What week are we in for that? Third week? I mean, it's down 50%. It's doing better than Mission Impossible in that respect, but we'll see. It's not really a summer movie, though. Insidious, The Red Door. I don't want to see this movie in the summer. They should have held it 2 more months. I don't know about you, but I like horror movies in the fall. Right around Halloween or right before. Dump all the horror movies you want in the fall. In the summer, I don't want to see horror. Clint Miller, I didn't like Insidious, The Red Door. I don't know. It's a franchise, I guess. I don't know. I'm not big on horror franchises. I mean, it looked okay, I guess. I don't know. I've got kind of a high bar for horror movies. Either I want my horror movie to be fun and crazy, or I want it to be actually scary. Like, psychologically scary. I don't want to see a big gore fest. I don't want to see guts everywhere. I want to see something that's actually scary that I can relate to. That seems to get further and further away from Hollywood. Number 7, Elemental. 5.8 million. I mean, kind of just hanging on by its fingertips here. Did 350 million worldwide. I mean, I guess that's probably a little bit of money. You got to figure a cartoon like this cost at least 150 mil, maybe? Something like that. So, I think it probably did okay. Like, not like it made good money, but it probably made something. It probably didn't lose money. Clint Miller, I'm a sucker for a jump scare. Yeah, I used to be, but like I've seen some, I'm like numb to it. You know, you really got to trick me on a jump scare these days for me to go, oh my God. Uh-oh, phone blowing up. I am in a live stream. I'm doing it live. Let's see. More cartoons. Carter Chain is here. Tony, did you get a haircut? I did. And thank God I did. And then Joan's going to get one on Tuesday. Yeah, I was. It's been very hot here. And I couldn't be happier with this haircut, even though it's very short. I told my barber, I said, just cut it all off, will you? And he did. When you tell your barber to cut short, you're asking him to cut it very short, because barbers tend to cut short, in my experience. Clint, you also got more handsome. Oh, you. Yes, I did. But yeah. So another cartoon, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think this is finally done. 2.8 million. Dropping out of theaters. 675 million worldwide. That's definitely money. What did this do internationally? Oh, did well in China. I'm surprised. 52 million in China. Kind of surprised it did that well, considering the protagonist and the Chinese incredibly racist attitudes over there. But they're definitely doing a sequel to that. Transformers Rise of the Beast, number 9, did kind of surprisingly well. 1.1 million. I mean, 418 million? Probably money? I don't know. This kind of took a lot of money because all the effects, but maybe they got it down to a point where it's not that expensive. I don't know. I mean, if you can't make money on a film that makes 418 million, I got to think you got to start making cheaper movies. That's all there is to it. Unfortunately, I think they're going to do another sequel for the Transformers. I think the Transformers is just tapped out. Kind of sick of the Transformers movies. I think it's done, but number 10 is No Hard Feelings, which I still want to see. Did 1 million. 82 million. I think it's probably money. It's probably a cheap movie to shoot since it's a comedy. No big effects. And I definitely want to see Jennifer Lawrence naked. I hear she's totally nude in this. Definitely want to see that. And she looked funny. Look, if you can act and you're a really good actor, you can usually do comedy. With some exceptions. And good on her for doing a comedy. I like the premise, but I think it kind of came out at the wrong time. But I mean, 82 million probably made some money. What did this cost? Maybe this cost, I don't know, 30 million, 20 million, something like that. They should definitely make more of these kinds of movies. One shot. It definitely doesn't need a sequel. God forbid you do a sequel to this. That would be not a good thing. So I think Hollywood should do more movies, smaller comedies, a couple of action movies, mix it up again. Number 11, The Little Mermaid, finally going away. $687,000 in its 9th week. 548 million. I gotta think it made some money, but maybe it's going to make it all on the back end with a record album or soundtrack or whatever. Kite, Transformers should have ended after Shia. Yeah, it should have ended 3 movies tops, I say. You gotta do more than 3 movies. Man, you gotta have something. Like, some reason. 3 is the magic number. It really is. 3-act structure, 3 movies. Now maybe you come back to Star Wars and do it again if they had done it right, but I don't know. 3 movies seems to be the limit. Or you do them in 3s. Joyride from Lionsgate. I actually have a couple of shares of Lionsgate, and I kind of regret buying it. And here's why: 13 million worldwide. Jesus, that is getting crushed internationally. No one's getting this damn movie. Australia, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Croatia it opened. And Australia did the best, 500,000. Now they have a decent Chinese population in Australia, and this movie has a lot of Chinese characters. I think it's a Chinese cast, if I'm not mistaken. They go to China, but they don't actually go. I read a brief thing where they said no, they didn't go to China, but I mean, 12 million? That can't be money. No way. I mean, this seems like a movie they spent Hollywood money on, so I don't recognize a single actress or actor in it. So they saved on that, but I don't see how they could have made this thing for less than 20 mil. Because they just don't make movies for less than that if it's Hollywood. But maybe. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. It just looked awful. God, that trailer looked like absolute cancer. Underneath that is Asteroid City. Well, it made more money. It's in its 6th week. 45 million? Nah, that's not money. This movie cost a fortune too. No way. I don't even think that's the budget. It's had to be $100 million or close to it. Now maybe all the many celebrities that are in it worked for scale, but I mean, the look of this thing. But again, I mean, I think it's probably worth just watching. You know, even if it didn't really hold together. Did well in the UK, 5 million, 5.8. Did not open in China. I don't know why the Chinese wouldn't. Well, it's kind of a pro-American movie, I guess, but that's a shame. I would like to see him do better. But, you know, The Royal Tenenbaums still, to me, is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I thought it was great. But, and this looked like it had a ton of potential, but, oh well. Not doing so good. 27 million domestic. 45 worldwide. That's rough, man. Theater camp. Now, this movie was cheap. This movie, I could see this movie costing $1 million less, but it only did $672,000. Didn't even crack $1 million. So it's supposed to be a comedy. It didn't look funny. Also looked like it was retreading some old ground, but you know, it didn't get a lot of distribution, so it's more of a secondary market type movie. It's in more theater, slightly more theaters in its 2nd week, but you needed, maybe if it had gotten better distribution, it would have at least done a few mil. Probably would have made money. It looks like a movie that didn't cost much. But it didn't look good to me. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, in its 4th week, 36 million. Nah, I don't think that's money. That's a cartoon. They're expensive. Jane Fonda was in it, one of the voices, and I think they had a handful of other stars. No, don't think that's money. Didn't do well. It's on its way out in its 4th week. Past Lives still in theaters. And they want this movie to succeed. 10 million? Maybe? I think it's a drama. Guardians still in theaters in its 12th week, on its way out. Super Mario Brothers, same deal. Oh, actually made a little more money this week. 90,000, which is up in its 16th week. Damn, I still haven't seen it. I kind of want to see it, but it feels like a rental for me. The Blackening, a movie I still don't understand how it got greenlit, why it exists. A Fire, looks like an art house movie. In its second week, but it's only been in 4 theaters. It's done $83,000. Rough. I mean, give it some distribution. See if it'll do something. All the friggin' movies that come out, they're all the same. If, at least if it's different, throw it on some more screens. What's it gonna hurt? You're gonna take away the second showing of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Oh no! The Boogeyman, still hanging on. This probably made money. 82 million probably made money. And Lakota Nation versus the United States. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. $15,000. Ouch. Second week. Oh, it's only in 2 theaters though. And then they're charting the drop off in the 2 theaters. If you're going to find 2 theaters for this to play in, you ought to find 2 that people will come running for this movie. I'm going to think if you had played this where the Lakota Nation is, might have helped you. I suspect if it's only in 2 theaters, it's New York and LA. Probably, that was a risk. I mean, certainly there's a lot of guilty folks in those areas that would see the movie. Sorry, you okay? Trying to position you better. Seems like you'd want to play that. Where's the Lakota? They're out in the Southwest somewhere. Seems like you'd want to throw that in theaters in New Mexico or Arizona, places like that, wherever the Lakota live. I gotta think they would be interested in it. Their name's right in the title. So, wow, look at this week, though. $301 million. Well, the summer's finally kicking up. Look at that. That's a week. 301. Last week was not that good. Not by a long shot. Last week was half, less than half. 140 mil. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's the weekend numbers, everybody. So, I'm very interested to see next week at Barbie, because then we're going to get some real data. We're going to get some real data, Joan, and we're going to see if Barbie drops off a cliff, as I suspect it will. I think, let's see, next week, what will it be? What's opening next week? That's the real key. That's the real key. Let's go to the IMDb release calendar. Okay, yeah, it's Haunted Mansion, Talk to Me, which is a horror movie, The First Slam Dunk, I don't know what that is, and The Mistress, another horror movie. Haunted Mansion will take people away from Barbie. I mean, it will. Just naturally will. I'll tell you what Haunted Mansion will be. You're taking the kids to the movie, and if you got a girl and a boy, the boy is going to be like, I don't want to see Barbie. Odds are. And the compromise will be Haunted Mansion. So, yeah, I think it'll definitely take people away from Barbie. And I think the word of mouth is just absolutely radioactive on Barbie. So, I don't know if this movie's going to be a hit. It might be a de facto hit. You know, in South Jersey, everybody goes to the shore on vacation during the summer. And there are movie theaters. So at some point during the vacation, if you're down there a week, you're just spending money and eating and you're going to the beach. But eventually you get kind of sick of doing that and you want to do something a little different. And you say, let's go see a movie. And then that'll be the movie. It'll be the compromise movie. Everybody could go see it. But some people don't want to see horror. A lot of people don't want to see, anything that's too dramatic or too hard, and if you got kids, Haunted Mansion. That's a movie you would definitely see down the shore with your family on vacation. Now, there aren't a lot of theaters down there, but, I mean, I think that's a factor. So, all right. Let's get into some other nonsense that happened this week. First up, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to try to play this without the music. Okay, I got the music off. I don't know if you heard this, but this is Star Trek Strange World, the new Star Trek show, and it's a musical. Yeah, they're doing a musical episode on Star Trek with dancing, and yeah, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's Star Trek, and that's a bar. I mean, can you imagine the meaning? Clint, my adult stepson saw Barbie with a 34-year-old female friend of his. She liked it. He literally slept through most of it. Interesting. WTF? Yes. Star Trek the musical, everyone. I'm Captain Pike. Ardent. Good gods, why? By the way, this is reporting from Bleeding Fool. So they jumped on this. It dropped like, I don't know, like an hour ago. Let's look at the comments. I love the comments. Hell is empty. Someone posted the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical episode. God, that was brutal. I got stuck at a con where a guy was selling DVDs of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he was playing that episode all day. All damn day. It was awful. So I was right to never start watching the show in the first place. Meme of Captain Picard looking intense. Strange New World is getting the CW treatment. F me. Wow. Considering Hegemony is the name of the finale, it might be a horror show send-off, two-parter cliffhanger that will make you want it was a musical. Not for me. Musicals are torture to me, so I'm ready for the Gorn. I don't know what you're saying. Bit of a... Okay, and Twitter rechanged some stuff. Oh, here, more replies. There was a time I thought I was not smart enough to watch Star Trek. Now I know I'm not retarded enough to watch whatever the crap this is. This is. Kite, I hate something not meant to be a musical trying. LOL. What the F is this? What the actual F? Yeah, that's not that many comments. Back in the day, you would have had thousands of comments. And now people are so checked out on Star Trek. It's been so ruined as a franchise. Nobody even cares. I mean, you're talking, what did I read? Just 8 comments? That's it? Star Trek used to have millions of fans. Now, who's a fan of Star Trek anymore? The nerds are completely out, except for the woke nerds who are hanging on. They're not real nerds anyway. Who's it for? I guess the hipsters, the virtue signaling hipsters who haven't gotten the memo that Star Trek isn't popular anymore. Most of them are out of it too because it's not popular anymore. It's just another piece of content, another piece of woke content nobody gives a crap about. You can defend it all you want, I guess. I mean, talk about tone deaf. My God. My God, that's a crime against Star Trek, isn't it? Star Trek the musical. Here's what Bleeding Fool says. Are Star Trek fans ready for a cringe-worthy, self-aware, and send-up of the show? Or is this musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds strictly for the Barbie crowd? I'd say strictly for the Barbie crowd, but it's going to miss because even the Barbie crowd isn't in the Star Trek anymore. the people, and I see this on dating sites all the time. Now, I'm on dating sites because I'm single and I'm pathetic. But you see, women will say, "Oh, I'm so into Star Wars and Marvel. I'm into comics." They're not really. They're not. They kind of are in that they think it's popular, so they ran out and saw some Marvel stuff. Maybe they bought one comic or someone showed them a comic. Oh, I'm in the comics now. It's crazy. But they're not in the comics. They're not into this stuff. Most of them. Now there's a select group of fangirls. They're into it, but that's rare. And most of them are in the nerd category. The nerds are into all this stuff. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm a nerd, but this is so far afield from what it was, it should be. It's not even interesting to make fun of. I mean, you just look at it and go, what? It would be like taking, I don't know, something that the normies like. I don't even know what they like anymore. They've been kind of indoctrinated into this, whatever the hell this is. Crap entertainment. But it would be like taking something like American Idol, right? And then you're watching an episode of American Idol, and suddenly the judges leave because there's an emergency, and then it becomes a car chase show. And it's Simon Cowell driving, and the other guy, I forget his name, the guy who says, "Not for me, dog," and they're in a shootout with police. Like, that's not the show. Ardent. There is an app/company, Public Square, PSQH, I covered today, that connects conservative customers and businesses the same way lefties had black/gay/X owned businesses. Pop culture needs that. I don't know. Here's why. I get what you're saying, and they have that, for conservative businesses. There's a difference with media, though, because you got guys like, and I like him, but Matt Walsh, he's kind of wrong on some things, and where he goes wrong is when it comes to media. Especially when it comes to like stuff like Japanese anime. He hates it. I don't blame him. I don't really like it all that much. I like some of it, very select amount. I mean, I guess you could have, some kind of app that would tell you things, but I gotta think most people, and it's not even conservatives, it's just people who aren't leftists. They gotta know. I mean, Critical Drinker did his review, and I was a little bit shocked he said this, and I'm not throwing any shade at him. I really like his videos, but he said, the Barbie movie kind of was a bait and switch, and it really took me off guard. I thought it would be a funny movie, even though we live in the times we live in. But I think the messaging was there if you looked hard enough. I mean, that teaser trailer showed little girls smashing up their dollies, and that messaging was right there. I mean, that's right out in the open. If you can't look at that and say, there's got to be something very wrong with this movie, unless the rest of the movie was just going to be a tour de force, and there was no way that was going to happen, yeah, Barbie was doomed. Absolutely doomed. Joan, sit over here for a while. Like putting a hot water bottle on your lap. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would work. Maybe. I think something like Iron Age magazine. If you guys haven't seen that, Anvil magazine, it's going to be the magazine for the Iron Age. Do you want to get down? Okay. Go over there. So, maybe Anvil magazine could put out an app that would flag new and interesting stuff. Go the other way. Not necessarily flag Disney, because, look, you can flag everything Disney makes now. I don't think there's a damn thing that Disney makes that's worth a damn. People told me, "Oh, you got to watch The Mandalorian. You got to watch The Mandalorian." No, I don't. No, I don't. I think it's done. I think it's done, Favreau or not. It's done. Ruined. And I'll say this, even if Favreau pulls it out of the dive, I don't want to see it. I don't want Star Wars saved. It's done. Just let it die and then go on to something else. Maybe 20 years from now you reboot the whole thing and somebody in the future will be, a decent director and writer that can make it good again. Trying to fix this hobbled horse you've crippled. You've crippled this poor animal. And you're still trying to fix it. Let it die. Wait for the next generation. Move on to other things, I say. But I think most of this stuff is pretty self-evident at this point. Anything that's corporate owned is going to eventually be ruined. Look at Warner Brothers. Zaslav came in. He was supposed to cut all this crap. I'm not seeing much of it being cut. I'm seeing a lot of woke crap coming out of Disney, and Barbie's one of them. Barbie's one of the woke pieces of crap. It's done by Warner Brothers. I might watch it on HBO Max just to review and see how bad it is. But by that time, it'll probably be pointless. It'll probably be out of theaters, and I wasn't going to pay money for that. I just wasn't. No, I don't want to give these people money. If I could have seen it for free, maybe, maybe if I could have, if I had a friend at the movie theater like I did years and years ago, and they could have got me in for nothing, maybe I would have gone just to give you a review of it, whatever. But even that, to give it oxygen. To me, the problem is not to knock down the bad stuff. The corporate stuff always sucked. Look, I was complaining about Marvel and DC Comics when they were decent. When they were still pretty readable, I was complaining about it. I was complaining about Marvel and DC during their height. During the early 90s, Marvel and DC could not sell comics. They were selling thousands and thousands of copies. And I was standing there going, the stories aren't good. This isn't going to last. You got to start doing stuff for story. All these guys came out with independent comics, and they were all exactly the same. And I said, you got to do better than this, or it's all going to collapse. And it did. So, what we need is good story. And there's stuff coming out of the Iron Age that's good. But as more and more creators get in, the same thing always happens. Some of those creators will be very well-meaning guys, but their projects maybe are either derivative or just not that good. And then someone says something, and then everybody starts fighting. And that's the disadvantage of being in the indie crowd. So, they could be an Iron Age guy who's very well-meaning. He's a loyalist, and he's doing something new. He's trying. He's really trying. But he's not ready. And you can't tell him he's not. Because he doesn't want to hear that. For whatever reason. Maybe he's a jerk. Maybe he just is barreling ahead with his dream, and he thinks he should have it because he thinks his idea is new. And it's just not. He's never been properly vetted. And he's just going ahead and... I've seen guys do that. I've seen guys at comic book conventions. They launch big at a comic book convention. I got a new comic. It's the greatest comic ever. Guys who used to do stuff like I would. They would get on a bullhorn and they would dance around, and they'd have crazy girls in skimpy outfits passing out flyers, and they did all these gimmicks. And for a couple of months, they'd be around. They'd spend a ton of money. And then they'd get their sales, and it would be nothing. And they'd disappear. The money would dry up, and poof, they were gone. Now, is it their idea? Maybe. Probably. It could be the market. It could be the way they spent their money. It could be sometimes you grow too fast in a small business or whatever. But we need new good stuff. And really, that has to come from the fans. And the fans have to know about the good new stuff. And they have to rally behind it. You know? Like, as a creator, the kind of thing I need to get my stuff out there is I need reviews on Amazon. That's hugely important. Ratings on Amazon. For comic books, you need people to talk about it. People to make videos about it. Why it's good. But that's a double-edged sword too, because you get inside, I'm on book 12 of the Pineys. Someone could get, start reading it. Yeah, I've been reading it since book 2. I love it. And then you get to book 8 and he's like, what the hell happened? For whatever reason. It's just people's taste. You can't take it personally, but... Or sometimes fans get a little too close to you and they want you to do certain things and their expectations go sky high and you're like, oh, please don't go that high. So it's tough. It's just tough. But we need to... where'd you come from? Stupid bugs. We need exposure. For me, for the Pineys, I need exposure locally mainly. But, nationally too would be great. For a lot of the other guys, I don't know if they even have a plan. For like you're doing superhero stuff, you need exposure on the CBR and all the review sites. And that sometimes it's hard to get. Or sometimes you get it and it doesn't mean anything. Because who reads comic book review sites? Movies, it's a little different. It's a bit bigger. But it costs so much money. So much time. There's a local guy who does horror movies. He's cranking them out and doing the best he can, but he seems like a one-man operation. And it's tough. It's tough. So, I don't know. I don't know if the... and like 5 years from now, I don't even know if anybody's going to care about the politics. Because I think the pushback is coming. And the conservatives are going to come roaring back. In which case, it's going to be like Bush era or the Reagan era again. And then all the lefty lunatics will be in the back room. All the conservative creators will be up front. And then it's going to be like, hey, I'm the conservative. No, I'm the conservative. I'm the conservative. And they're all going to be fighting for eyes on the prize. And at some point, being canceled won't be an instant success like it is now. Like right now, Jason Aldean got canceled, right? His song. And that made him an instant success. That's a great formula for now. Well, I wouldn't call it a great formula. It's a formula. But it's just a matter of time before people in LA go, look, what we're going to do is you're going to do a super-based movie or a super-based song or a super-based comic or whatever. Then we're going to put it out, and then we're going to cancel you, and then we're going to make $1 million. They're going to do that. Clint Miller, Piney's Book 10 was a departure from the norm, but you tied it all together in the final chapter. And my electric rates went way up when Tommy Watts was shut down. Look, I told you before that those things are a ripoff. Those things are a ripoff, Clint. You have to read the book to get this joke. JC, not even conservatism. It'll be populism. Yes. That is more accurate. I agree. So there's going to be guys who are awesomely populist, but for whatever reason, their project won't be successful, and it may frustrate them, and it may turn them against populism because of that. They were like, hey, I did all the things you told me to do. But that's the problem with trends too. If you follow the trends, you're stuck in the trend. And if you hit the trend at the wrong time, goodbye. It doesn't work. So people who are putting out woke stuff now, oh, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Because the end of the woke era is upon us. And, well, you've seen it with all the Disney flops. All right, moving on. Checking the trades. Barbie sets records. Oppenheimer impresses. To me, Oppenheimer was more impressive than Barbie. Because Oppenheimer, I think, was initially... I think they were going to say... First, it did $33 million, I think, on Friday and Thursday. And then they said, well, it's going to do... might do 70, and it did 80. So that's pretty good. And I'm very suspicious of the Barbie numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if the studio somehow lied about its numbers or rigged them somehow. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. Populism might dissolve into anarchy. We can only hope. I doubt it. No, I think the bigger danger, anarchy is not, in my view, as bad as you think, unless it's like, the government unravels. But what we really want is decentralization. That's what we really want. Not necessarily populism, but populism kind of is down that path. You want a decentralized everything, for the most part. You only need to come together when there's like a world war, let's say. So if you decentralize everything, there's a lot of competition, a lot of opportunity. So like with my books, I'm very regional. There are plenty of guys who could do the same thing in their own regions. And then we could all make money. That's decentralization. When you have, and Hollywood definitely needs that. Everything's in Hollywood. Everything's big. Everything's centralized in a few movies. That's why they're hurting. If they had taken the money they blew on Indiana Jones and made, instead of making one movie for $320 million, or some crazy amount, let's say you made 8 movies for $40 million. One of those movies would have been a big hit and covered all the rest of the movies. Maybe 2 of them. And the other movies probably would have paid for themselves at least, so that would have been a better investment. That's decentralization. Kite. Yeah, people are pushing back hard, but they are about to get more nefarious, I think. More sneaky. They are getting more sneaky. I mean, look at Barbie. That's a perfect example of the sneakiness. I mean, I don't think... again, I think the message was there, but a lot of people, I think, thought, oh, it's going to be funny, right? I think they were more hopeful, and they wanted to believe they were not going to F this up, but yeah, they totally did, in my view. But if it makes money, if this movie doesn't crash and burn next week, that's a real problem. Because then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, people will love this feminist stuff. Oh, they love it. Look at all the money we're making. Well, we got to do Barbie too. Oh, yeah, let's greenlight that. Barbie 2, even more feminist. Dear God, no. All right. Elon Musk claims Twitter will soon be renamed X. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people aren't really digging that, Elon. To be honest, I'm not really digging the WEF woman you put in charge of the Twitter. And I'm still probably going to call it Twitter. Like I still call it the Ukraine and Facebook. But okay, we'll see. Greta Gerwig makes box office history as Barbie scores biggest opening weekend for female director. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you want Greta Gerwig to represent women in film, but there you have it. I do think Hollywood will rain the money trucks on Greta Gerwig. They will give her anything she wants. They want to keep her around as the most successful female movie director of all time. And I mean, she's doing Narnia. I think that's going to be an absolute wreck. Because if you think she hates men, wait till you see how much she hates religion. I think that's going to be bad. I think it's going to be really bad. So, yeah, and the Narnia fans are kind of religious. Futurama's John DiMaggio on his salary battle and return as Bender. Yeah, he did have a problem with the people doing Futurama. I'm shocked. I mean, like, how are you going to do the damn cartoon without him? What studios can learn from Indiana Jones and Barbie about picking the right IP? How about not picking an 80-year-old lead? Carter, pretty soon calling X Twitter is going to be a big tell of your age. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Quentin Tarantino rolls out for Barbie Oppenheimer double feature on opening weekend. Okay. Call the press. Quentin went to a movie. Oh, here we go. Christopher Nolan's films ranked from worst to best. That's an interesting list. Let's see. Worst. Following. Didn't see that one. No idea. Probably. Oh, this was his debut. Kind of rough to put that on the bottom. Tenet. That I hear it belongs on the bottom. Number 10, Interstellar. I hate that movie. Really sucks. Really sucks. Yeah, not good. The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, it's bad, but I gotta say, Tom Hardy almost makes Bane work, and Bane is not a great character. Insomnia. Is this the one where Robin Williams is the bad guy? Inception is a 7? I thought that would be closer to the top. Batman Begins. That's a good one. I like that. The Prestige. That's pretty good. I like The Prestige. Dunkirk. I haven't seen it. I've heard good things. Oppenheimer's number 3. Okay. Memento. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't know if I'd put it at 2. And The Dark Knight. Okay. The worst list I've ever heard of, but interesting. Yellow Jackets actress who claims to be non-binary goes topless in Teen Vogue after having healthy breast tissue removed. Gross. Gross. Not sure why you would do this. Is that really worth your career? I guess you can undo it, but my God. It seems extreme. It's like, actor has ear removed for Van Gogh, role, and, I did that for my career. Like, it seems like too much. Seems like too much. And I don't like this trend. I really don't. Surgery is not something you should get. I don't believe in cosmetic surgery. I think it's very unnecessary. I mean, look at what happened to Joan Rivers. She died getting too much cosmetic surgery. Doesn't seem worth the risk to me. It just seems like vanity. I mean, it's different if you're in a car accident and your face is all messed up, or you're born with a really harsh deformity. It makes it hard to look at you. Well, yeah, you're gonna get your face operated on, sure, but that's just like brutal. Clint Miller, breast reduction surgery, should it be outlawed? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a real medical necessity for it. I wouldn't outlaw it. I wouldn't even outlaw this, but I just, I think as a society we should look at it and go, maybe you shouldn't have this. You know what I mean? I mean, breast reduction, for some women, they're very top heavy. I've known some women who are very top heavy, and then they get older and they've always had back problems, and then they get it and they look better and they feel better because their breasts are smaller. So for some, I guess it is kind of a medical necessity. And an actress, I could see that, but man, this just seems like it's going to be regrettable. I have no idea what Joan is barking at. It's beginning to drive me nuts. It's got to be a dog across the street or something. All right, checking in with Bounding in the Comics. A Mission Impossible star, Haley Atwell. Kite. If it's causing injury or back pain because they're too big, then it's fine fully removing nope. Yeah, that just seems too much. It seems like if you're going to do that and you don't have cancer and, if you're an adult, it's your choice, but I think you should talk to someone before you do that. Like somebody in the, therapy field. Say, what are you doing? Mission Impossible star Haley Atwell admits Hollywood is an industry on its knees. Interesting. Is it because of the double strikes, perhaps? The SAG-AFTRA strike is costing studios about $600,000 per week. Kite, not for I feel like a man, etc. Yeah, for the tiny minority of people who have gender dysphoria, sure. But I think you should think about it. Talk to someone before you go down that path. Surgery just seems so extreme. Like Joan's barking, which won't stop. What could she possibly be barking at? What could she possibly find this interesting or scary? She's sitting on the couch looking out the front window. Clint, is the future of Hollywood in doubt due to the double strikes? I don't know. I feel like they're playing it up a bit. Partly to try to get the studios to capitulate. I think the studios have the math all figured out. They have it all figured out. They know exactly where they're going to end the strike. They looked at their balance sheet and they said, well, we'll go to December or whenever. And then maybe by then. Or they're doing the math and they're going, well, we can last this long before things are really getting tight. And, we think we could save X amount of dollars if we get these concessions, so it's worth us. I mean, they do the math on everything. These people predicted what Barbie and Oppenheimer would make fairly closely. They're going to predict this. It's easier to predict this stuff. They know exactly from week to week how much money they're losing, if they're losing money at all. This is more like a SAG-AFTRA calculation. That's not going to be as accurate as, say, the studios doing that calculation, because they have guys who are in the finances in the studios doing the calculation, and they're finance guys. God, I want to strangle my dog. Kite, especially since you wouldn't chop off someone's arm because they felt armless. Sadly, the psychology field is the problem. They have to affirm quickly or they lose their jobs. That seems to be true, I will say, because YouTube, I don't know how they're going to react to us talking about this. So I will just say it seems to be true, person with opinion. JEC, need to stop indulging people in their delusions. You can't hear the barking? Oh, weird. She is barking nonstop. And it's becoming a distraction. Carter, Joan's barking is making my dogs perk up. I'm finding it kind of funny. Oh, so Carter can hear it. You think she'd be tired by now. She's just not stopping. JC, only 600K a week? It seems pretty low. They spend 600K on catering. I'll tell you a quick funny story on that. My friend who worked at Disney told me that the office where she worked had a candy budget. Oh, how much was it? I think it was $250 a week or a month just on candy. And like, artisan candy. So it was like super high-end candy just for the office. So when you came into the office, like, oh, hey, how you doing? We're going to talk about things. Oh, we'll have a piece of candy. Oh, well, thank you. Well, this is really good candy. It should be. It's artisan candy. It costs us a fortune. She worked for someone who I went out there and met them, and we went to a cheese shop that also had like a tiny restaurant, and they served grilled cheese sandwiches. This is 2008. The grilled cheese sandwich was, I think it was $20, and it was good, but like, you're eating the grilled cheese going, oh, this is good. Is it $20 good though? Ardent, I can kind of hear the barks. Zeus, Stormy's dog, mine now really, can hear it very well given how he's looking at the phone. Man, she hasn't stopped. Maybe someone is breaking into my house. Joan probably wouldn't bark if someone broke into the house. She'd probably go, ooh, maybe someone's here to pet me. Clint Miller, sounds like the women at Twitter pre-Elon with the wine dispensers. Carter, I have you on my big TV with the good speakers. My dogs are still confused about where the barking is coming from. Good Lord. Oh, I think she finally tired herself out. Slowing down. What else is going on at Bounding? Well, I mean, in terms of the strike, hold on, I better go get her. All right, see what you did, Joe. All right, no more. We're gonna shut the door. We're gonna keep you in here. See what you did? God. Now just sit there. Sit. Sorry, everybody. Joan is off the chain today. So yeah, with the strikes, I mean, it's bad. It's bad for the people who work there, that's for sure. I'll tell you who it's bad for. It's bad for the crew guys. Because those guys are like, they're the closest thing to like middle class you're going to get in the movie industry. They just show up and do the electric, or hang the lights, or move the camera, or move a bunch of stuff. It's like, production's shut down, they're done. They don't care about the productions. They don't have any say in that. They're just there to do whatever the director wants. So it's they're the guys who are really getting slammed, because their union's fine, but they're not going to have any work. There's just not going to be anything to do. John Boyega changes tune, now open to return to Star Wars. I'm open to all opportunities. Kind of weird, right? He was sort of out of Star Wars, and after what they did to him on the movie poster, I don't know why he would go back, but excuse me. Chris Gore, Eric July, and Nerdrotic wow the Comic-Con crowd with uplifting talk on the future of independent media. So that was nice to see. Glad these guys, they all went to Comic-Con. They seem to be having a good time. Wesley Snipes to reprise role as Blade in Deadpool 3, which is a cool rumor. I hope he does. So I really liked Wesley Snipes and Blade. I still say he could do the character. I think he can. I think if you put him in the makeup, he works out. You know, you might need to CGI him a little bit. I think he would be fine. Yes, says Ardent. I know, right? I mean, he is a lot less bulky, I'll say. I saw him in, Kevin Hart and him did a movie, and he plays like his brother or whatever. Snipes' Blade is the best Blade, says Ardent. Yes. And he looks a lot skinnier, but he still looks good. Like, he doesn't look old. He's not really showing his age yet. Carter Chain, how old is Snipes? Does he still have it? I think he does. Let's see how old Wesley Snipes is. He's got to be pushing 60, I would say. There he is he was in a stripper movie. He's not one of the strippers. He's like an ex-stripper. How old is he? Where is it? Blah, 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 blah. Born, okay, so he is 4 years older than me, so he is 61. So, this is from one of the movies he was doing. Let's see, there he is. He didn't look that old, I don't think. Not to do Blade. I think he could pull it off with enough makeup. Again, he doesn't have the bulk, but I think they could totally... You put him in a suit, you know. Give him a muscle suit. I mean, that Blade was mostly covered up anyway, except for his arms. So... What was he in? Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. He's doing a voice. Carter, they say black don't crack. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look that different. Look at him. I mean, I'm sure this is the picture on the left is probably much younger Wesley Snipes. And this was like a year or two ago. So, I think he could totally pull it off. I certainly think the fans would adore it. I mean, they would be psyched if Snipes was back as Blade. Huh. It would be huge. Marvel, you're idiots for not casting him. You're absolute idiots. I would have driven the money truck to his door and said, yes, we're going to put him back. Blade returns. And here's the great thing about it would be, Clint, like white can't fight. The great thing about Wesley reprising his role, you could say he was in the MCU the whole time, but he's been fighting the vampires underground. And then you could introduce all the evil supernatural characters, and it would totally make sense, right? It would make sense within the Marvel Universe. Like, oh yeah, they've been here this whole time, but you haven't seen them because Blade has been fighting the good fight, and now he's being overwhelmed, and he needs the rest of the MCU to come to his aid. Ardent, I think that left pick is recent. It's still... Let's see. Let's see. Wesley Snipes. Let's see a more recent pick, or some recent picks of Wesley Snipes. There's various pics of him. I mean, he basically looks the same in most of them. Like here, this looks like a much nicer picture of him, like with a photographer and everything. The other ones look a little bit more candid. This is definitely an old picture when he was in shape. This is from like the 90s. from White Man Can't Jump. I think he could totally do it. Kite. The Vamps were held back and losing so badly they joined with current MCU baddie, so Blade needs a hand. Yeah, that works too. You could even do, a thing where some of the bad guys get bit by vampires and they become superpowered vampires, and they only Wesley Snipes can help. I think it could totally work. They should do it. I think the fans would love it. And you could even... First off, here's how I would do it. I would do a trilogy. First movie, he comes back into the MCU. Does some stuff. Second movie, he fights a bunch of vampires as they kind of are overwhelming the MCU. Third movie, he goes out in a blaze of glory. That would be cool. And then, you end it. End it on a big high note. I think it would be huge. Barbie's box office. Greta Gerwig breaks opening weekend. The end of Yellowstone. Does anybody watch Yellowstone? I don't know. It looks okay, I guess. If you're interested, it's ending. Star Trek Strange New Worlds musical episode announced. Trailer revealed. And everybody is throwing up. Strike Fallout. Amazon splits Invincible Season 2 into 2 parts. I talked about this in my trailer analysis. I can't really get into Invincible. I just can't. I don't know why. Kite. Is this going to be a full reboot? Because, they already killed Dracula, but I wouldn't MCU him simply because you want it to be gritty like Deadpool. No, I would just it would give the MCU, credibility again. You could bring him back. Fans would love it. And then you could pull in other, they want to reboot Ghost Rider without Nicolas Cage this time. That's a character you could bring in with Blade at some point, and him being in the movie with Blade, the fan stuff would be on Blade to deliver, and then if Ghost Rider just doesn't screw it up, the fans will like him, and then you could spin him off in his own movie. Ardent, Invisible Season 2, how long have we been waiting for that? Yeah, well, now they're going to split it up into 2 parts because of the strike, apparently. Rick and Morty team gives update on recasting process following Justin Roiland's dismissal. So, I think this is kind of an outrage because Roiland only left because of the abuse charges. Ardent, if they can get a Ghost Rider who doesn't own a car, we'll see. So, Roiland was essentially vindicated, legally anyway. They're not, I think he's maybe got some issues, but, apparently he didn't break any laws. He's not going to prison. He's not being sued. I don't see how they can do this. I don't see how they can just cut the man out of all his projects and say, sorry, you were accused, get lost. I gotta think he has a massive lawsuit ahead of him. Carter, free my boy, he did nothing wrong. I think the damage has been done, though. To his projects. Which is why I think he has a massive lawsuit here. You're talking about Rick and Morty. It was huge. I don't know why he hasn't announced a lawsuit. I was speculating before in Hollywoke Hot Take. The only reason I can think of is that him and his lawyers are waiting for them to move forward with the show so they can then go, okay, now we're suing you. or maybe there's some negotiation going on behind the scenes. But how can you, and it also shows you too that you shouldn't just roll over and die and exit if you're accused of something. But maybe he'll stay out because he's worried they'll dig deeper and find even worse stuff. That's a possibility. Um, but I don't know, man. I mean, Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland in particular, was like the darling of animation, and now, and this is the second guy, by the way, kind of fell from grace. Ren and Stimpy, similar rumors I've heard. So weird. I think the studios need a better policy on this stuff. I think the HR policy should be, and I get it, you might have to put someone on hiatus, but you can't cancel their deals. You have a contract. They may have breached his contract unless he walked away voluntarily, in which case he may have screwed himself by doing that. He kind of did. So maybe he doesn't have a case. Maybe his lawyers already told him you don't have a case, and now he's off on his own and he doesn't care. He's got millions of dollars. Possible. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I kind of want to know. I kind of would want this show to end either way. If he's guilty, the show should end. If he's not guilty and he's not going to be in it, the show should end. I'm not interested in your, as Jerry Seinfeld said about football players, I'm not interested in rooting for a uniform. Like, when I was young, football players actually usually were from the same area where they played, and that was kind of cool. Like, you were rooting for hometown guys to play football or whatever. I'm not interested in watching a Rick and Morty with a different cast. Just not. It was Justin Roiland was most of the show. JC, John Kay is the Ren and Stimpy guy. There's a documentary on YouTube called Happy Happy Joy Joy that's really good. He dated a 14-year-old. Oh my God. And a few other teenagers in the 90s. Oh my God. Wow, that's much worse. That is much worse. Yeesh. So, I don't know. What a mess. What an absolute mess. But that's Hollywood. I mean, I would think he would have a massive lawsuit ahead of him, though. Checking out Bleeding Fool. Peacock announces premiere dates for John Wick prequel, The Continental. I guess. I mean, who wants to see this? Is Keanu Reeves going to make an appearance? Like, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it takes place in the past. Yeah, 1970s. So, Winston trying to run from a past he thought he left behind. I don't know. Who wants to see this? Again, it just feels like more like, oh, they're not really exploring a world, in my view. I mean, they are, but they're not. I don't think it's that interesting. You know, it's like there's certain properties that maybe, but I just don't see this one. But whatever. I guess we're doing this. Oh yeah, I remember this. God, this is so awful. Brace yourselves. Mark Hamill is doing fundraising for Adam Schiff, everybody. Yeah, let that sink in a minute. Listen, you. No griping. No, you're not going anywhere. You've caused enough problems for today. You sit there, go to sleep. Here, put your blanket on. Go to sleep. No, you can't bark. No more bark. Okay? No more. No bark. You sit here. Not even Ian McShane. Waste of time. What a shift-head, says Ardent. Yeah, I mean, I assume maybe they'll have Ian McShane recast his character, recast with a younger guy, but with Mark Hamill, it's just like, dude, it was bad enough you started talking on Twitter. Now you're going to raise money for Adam Schiff, of all people. Adam Schiff? I get it, you don't like Trump, but Jesus, Adam Schiff? And listen to the quote. Over the last 6 years, our democracy has been tested like never before, and in those dark times, Adam gave me hope, Hamill said. Hope that our democracy would survive. Hope that not only would we get through this, but that we would come out on the other side and our democracy could be strong again. Hamill then described the congressman as a brave politician who took the heat in defending our democracy. I mean, that just amazes me that anyone could say that about any politician, really. Especially one like Adam Schiff. I mean, Adam Schiff. You know who he is, right? Like, I just can't get over it. So disappointing. No, you're staying right here. So you might as well get comfortable. Get comfortable because you're staying for the rest of the show. No. It's just bizarre to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kite, wait, does he even know who he is? Schiff is? Yeah, I think he knows him. Legendary singers defend and rebuke Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town. Oh, who rebuked it? Sheryl Crow says, I'm from a small town. Even people in small towns are sick of violence. There's nothing small town or American about promoting violence. You should know that better than anyone having survived a mass shooting. This is not American or small town like. It's just lame. Shannon Watts. Jason Aldean, who was on stage during the mass shooting at Las Vegas concert in 2017 that killed 60 people and wounded over 400 more, has recorded a song called Try That in a Small Town about he and his friends will shoot you if you try to take their guns. No, I don't think that's what he's really saying. But controversial. I don't think so, though. Clint Miller, my worry about our democracy is that fortifying the results to elect socialists will lead to disaster upon disaster. Yeah, that's a much bigger problem. Fortifying the election. To make sure you have the right people. Someone said to me, I won't say who it was, I don't care who you vote for if you vote for a different Republican, but not Trump. They're so easily swayed by the media, unfortunately. I think a lot of people. They just... And part of it is this mentality. You gotta... Again, it goes back to Barbie. See how I'm tying it all in? People want to like what's popular. And they want to be liked by other people. And when they don't like what's popular, it causes a little friction. And it may be friction that they're not willing to deal with. So they would rather just say, no, I like Barbie too. Or no, I I hate Trump too, or whatever. And they just go along to get along. And that works in a lot of social situations. You know, there are people who will like, if the waitress comes out and brings a hamburger, and the hamburger lid is already on the burger and it's a little soggy. Oh, send that back. Bring it out properly and blah blah blah. And they make a big deal about everything. Yeah, that's annoying too. But to never speak up ever, that's also, you got to have a balance in your life. The world is about balance, and the balance needs to be, a little of everything. Not just all of one thing. People on the left at times have had real points. Now they're just out of their minds. But to tell someone on the left that, they can't say it. To tell someone on the left now, like, well, not all Republicans are bad. They're not all corrupt. They're not all completely corrupt. Some of them are good on some issues. Most of them won't even acknowledge that, because they kind of just are caught up in the moment, I think. But I thought there'd be more takes here, but that's about it. Going over to Cosmic Book News. I like this site, but this guy doesn't seem to post consistently. I don't know, or maybe it doesn't load up whenever I'm on the site. It's so annoying, because some days he'll have like 7 or 8 headlines, and then for 3 days nothing. Exclusive: Kevin Feige, the hero, AI, the talk of Comic-Con. I find it very difficult to believe Kevin Feige could be the hero. Disney, Feige, and Marvel received some heat for using AI to create the opening sequence to Secret Invasion. It has been thought Disney and Feige used AI to go the cheap route. Conversations I have read with VFX insiders at Comic-Con actually offer completely the opposite. AI is the big reason for the ongoing actor and writer strike, as the actors and writers want a new contract. Blah, 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 blah. So at Comic-Con, I had a chat with VFX artists, and they actually said they're not too worried about AI right now. They said it's like using another paintbrush. It's another tool, and they're toying with it. Regarding Secret Invasion, they point out how bad it looks. They say Feige used AI in the Secret Invasion opening to intentionally show that it's not up to par and doesn't match the high quality of VHX Studios. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It seems a bit Machiavellian. It is true. Uh-oh, getting some stream stutter. Sorry, let me just dip into my, oops, not that. Where's the other thing? I think we're okay. About to wrap up anyway. Refresh seems to have fixed it. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit Machiavellian that he purposely made AI look bad. The AIs aren't going to be happy about that. Watch your back, Feige. Finally, over at Deadline, otherwise known as Variety 2.0. Let's see if there's anything left. Why the actor's life has become untenable for most working SAG-AFTRA members. It's tough to be an actor, especially in LA and New York. They go from living on someone's basement floor to, whoop, here's $10 million for your next movie. I mean, it's crazy. If they're lucky, they do that. Otherwise, they just live in obscurity for forever. I know plenty of people who they tried to be an actor, or they were an actor for a short time, and then they just got out because they just didn't get their break or whatever. And it's just, there's like lots of people who are like that. You don't hear about them though. Uh, Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman wanted an early death for one key character. JC made the intro in AI, and most people quit before the end of the credits were done. Now no one is watching the show. Yeah. Yeah, so if that was the strategy, it seems like it was a poor one. Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman wanted an early death for who? I assume kill Rick Grimes today. I don't care. It'll be funny. People will freak out. It'll be fun. Writers were like, Robert, you're crazy. We can't do that. Why would he want him dead? Doesn't make any sense. Oh my God, they're doing another spinoff of The Walking Dead. The Ones Who Live, and Andrew Lincoln's going to be in that. Jesus. This Walking Dead show won't die. It is like a zombie. God. I just looked at the trailer for Daryl Dixon's getting his own mini-series or whatever. I mean, Norman Reedus is the most popular character on that show, or Daryl Dixon, played by Norman Reedus, but my God, at least they moved it to France, so that'll be a little different, but you're going to bring back Andrew Lincoln again? So sick of The Walking Dead. I bailed out of that show so long ago. It feels like a million years ago. Julio Torres skips Outfest screening of Problemista, but offers video message to festival crowd. Hello, fellow queers. I guess. I remember the days when that word was not considered a compliment, but I saw the trailer for Problemista. I mean, it's kind of okay, I guess. It could be funny. I don't know. Seemed kind of woke. They're pushing back the premiere for some reason. I guess because of the strike. Linda Yaccarino calls Twitter rebrand X a second chance to make another big impression. I don't know, man. It seems like kind of necessary, but sure, maybe. Might work, I guess. Clint, gay meant happy once upon a time. Yes, it did. Ardent, stream just up and died on me. Oh, sorry, man. I'm going to wrap up anyway. I think we're just about done here. So let's get into final thoughts. If anybody has any final thoughts or suggestions for next week. Final thoughts. AI bad? Strike bad? Well, maybe not for the fans. Comic-Con better? Iron Age good? Ardent, and I'm back. JC, my friends made me watch one episode of Walking Dead. It was terrible. They didn't have enough material to fill an hour, so they just kept repeating the same scene over and over again. I kind of believe it. Here's the way Walking Dead went for me, without getting into my whole Walking Dead thing. JC, they're changing the name of Twitter? Yes, they're calling it X. Ardent, I think it's my internet. Honestly, funny weather last few hours. In any case, good show. Thank you. Rebrands never work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to do much, but it's going to be like the idea for the rebrand on Twitter is X is going to be payments, and it's going to be Twitter, and it's going to be a bunch of stuff. Clint, Tony, what shows do you have this week? I will be at the Bordentown Library at 2 p.m. on Saturday next week. It's the only show I have until August. And so it's going to be a late week for me. Hope to see you there. And what else? Oh, okay. So Walking Dead, real quick. Walking Dead, the first season is the best season. But weirdly enough, the shows get progressively worse until the finale. Ardent, X gonna give it to you. maybe. The episodes seem to get progressively worse until the final episode, which is by far a huge, in my view, a huge drop off in quality. And I almost bailed completely out of the show after seeing the season 1 finale. But I gave it another chance because some of the stuff had been okay before, but they were replacing showrunners like that. And then the second season, it's just not, it just starts, it never goes back up. it kind of just stumbles, and for a few minutes you think, oh, it's getting back on plane, and it just keeps stumbling and stumbling. And they'd always had these weird mistakes in Walking Dead. They'd have weird blocking, weird things in the background. You'd be like, well, why don't they just use that? Or why don't they just hide from the zombies in that? Or why don't they just climb on that building back there? And like, they wouldn't acknowledge it. They would just ignore it. So what finally killed it, and I used to watch it with friends, so I stayed in it way longer than I probably would have, but we were watching it, and they had this scene with Glenn, if you know who Glenn is on the show, and he's trapped on top of a dumpster with this other guy who's a crazy guy. He's clearly going to die. In other words, he just shouldn't have been brought along. He's not a reliable guy, and that's made abundantly clear throughout his entire character arc. And for some reason, they run down this alley towards the dumpster, but it's Georgia. Georgia isn't New York City. They don't have a lot of alleys. Maybe in Atlanta, but they just don't have a lot of alleys. But they're running down the alley from these zombies, and they get to the end of it, and there's a fence that's like 30 feet high. It's insane. It's like, where would that fence come from? Why would they have that fence? But there's a building behind them, you see in the background, that has a stairwell. Now, there's a bunch of stuff blocking the stairwell, but you could easily climb over it. Like, you can see, like, oh, okay, they blocked that with a bunch of stuff because they didn't want the zombies to come up the stairwell. But they could climb up the stairwell. They're human. The zombies can't really climb. So they ignore that and they get on top of a dumpster. The problem with that scene is they're on the dumpster and, like, the zombies can reach them. Like, in previous shows, the zombies pull people off all kinds of things. So they're standing on the dumpster, and the real sketchy guy decides, well, we're trapped, so adios. And as he does that and falls over, he falls over with Glenn, and you think Glenn is dead, which he should have been. But then, I guess it was another episode or another season, he comes back because somehow Glenn climbed out from under the body that was being eaten above him without getting bit by the zombies and climbed under the dumpster. But here's the thing about the dumpster. Dumpsters typically don't have enough room that you can climb underneath them, even if they're on wheels. And if you watch the episode, you can see clearly there's no way anybody could fit underneath this dumpster. But that's what they went with. And that's what I was like, I am so out of this show. That was stupid. It was dumb. There was a million different ways you could have handled it. They just didn't handle it well, in my view. And it just got, I just wanted to see zombies get killed. Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask for Peninsula? Is it too much to ask for Train to Busan, where the zombies just keep coming and people try to kill them? That's it. I'm really not interested in the intrigue between the human characters. Ardent, dumpster? I need to find a dumpster. Dumpster, you know, like the big giant trash can that the trucks pull up and they put the bars on and then they dump it in the truck and then they put it back. Like the kind you find behind a store. Ardent. And a bay ball. What's a bay ball? I don't know that. And then the show, I heard rumors it got even worse. And then they tried to revive it with like the first Walking Dead spinoff show, which I did start to watch, and it wasn't awful, but the reason it's not awful is zombie stuff is best closest to the actual outbreak. That's the funnest part of the show. So with the spin-off show, they started back at the outbreak and then moved forward. So that was mildly interesting, but they can't do these things. Hollywood has just shown time and time again, unless you have a strong visionary creatively to control this stuff, they just go off the rails and do weird stuff. Everybody's out for themselves. Every director and writer on that show, oh no, I'm going to do it this way. Oh, I'm going to do a completely different thing. Oh, isn't this clever? They're all trying to outfox one another. And when it comes to improv, if you've ever done improv, when you have an improv team, if you have, say, 5 people on a team and they're all trying to outmaneuver one another and all trying to be the funniest guys on stage, it's a terrible show. You have to work as a team and lift each other up and go back and forth and give each person like an opportunity. Now, you don't have to make it equal, but you have to play to your strengths. And, you know, with creative stuff, it's very sort of random. So it could be that the funny guy you think is going to be the star is the star of the show, or it could be somebody else that night. And that's what Hollywood has to do with their projects. Because when they have something good, they typically ruin it by micromanaging the hell out of it. Ardent, it's like baseball if you're making fun of the handicapped. Babel? Wow, weird. It's like baseball if you're making fun of the handicapped. You mean handy-capable. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on The Walking Dead. I think it sucks. I'm not going to watch it anymore. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, who nearly ruined the show. Check me out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more days takes. And more videos later. I already put up a Piney podcast if you're interested in that and hearing about South Jersey. So, again, Bordentown on Saturday at 2 p.m. Thanks to everybody who tuned in today. Say goodnight, Joan. I know, you're very mad. You're very mad. I know. I know you're very mad. But you were very bad today. Very bad in a lot of different ways. Now I'm going to go wash my hands because I touched your little face. Ardent, later, amigo. Later to you as well. JC, good night. Good night. Oh, wait. I got to push this button first. All right, here we go. Ending the stream. Clint, good night. And end.